Okay, so we've all heard of digital currencies backed by code, right? But what if there was a currency backed by something else entirely? Something like actual human skill.
So today, we're going to dive into this really fascinating project called Human Value Coin, or HVC for short. The whole idea here is to create a digital asset that actually represents the real-world value of what we do, our skills, our work, our contributions. But how on earth does that actually work? Well, let's break it all down.
All right, so first things first. What exactly is human value coin when you strip everything else away? Let's get right to the core concept.
A good way to wrap your head around this is to look at how the project compares itself to Bitcoin. Their missions? Totally different. Bitcoin's value, as we know, comes from digital scarcity. It's all about code and computation. But HVC? It's trying to base its value on something way more, well, human. We're talking about verified productivity and actual skills.
Okay, so here's the official definition they give. HVC is the future value layer for this bigger platform they're building called the Skileman ecosystem. So the main idea is, inside this ecosystem, when people use their skills and get work done, HVC is supposed to be the thing, the asset, that captures all the value they're creating.
So, okay, if the value is really based on what people can do, you've got to wonder, what's the long-term potential here? Well, the project lays out this incredibly ambitious goal, and they call it the $1 million vision.
And yeah, the creators, they don't beat around the bush on this one. They ask the question straight up, what's the future valuation target for just one HVC?
$1 million. Yep, that is the huge long-term target they've put out there for a single human value coin.
But hold on. Before we all get too carried away by that number, it is absolutely crucial to look at the context they provide right next to it. They are super clear in all their materials that this number is a vision, a long-term goal. It is not, and I repeat, not a guaranteed promise.
In that vision, it comes with a whole bunch of conditions. I mean, for HVC to even get close to that kind of valuation, a ton of massive things would have to fall into place just right. We're talking about the Skileman ecosystem going global in a huge way, having tons of real economic activity, and of course creating a super high demand for a scarce asset that's tied to what people are actually doing. That's a really, really high bar to clear.
Which, of course, brings us to the next big question. If it's all about human value, how do you actually get HVC? So let's take a look at how you're supposed to earn it.
So the main idea here, the central principle, is that HVC is something you have to earn. You earn it by contributing. It's not supposed to be just another speculative asset you buy and sell. The whole point is to link getting it directly to doing something meaningful in the ecosystem.
So what kind of actions are we actually talking about here? Well, the project materials list a few things: completing jobs, helping the platform get bigger, building up a good, trusted reputation, or even just getting your skills verified. It really seems like it all boils down to being an active, valuable participant.
And all of this brings us to what's happening right now with the project. They call this current phase a limited early access window. And the messaging is pretty straightforward. Right now, the project is in a phase where you can get in early. They're basically framing it as your chance to get involved before the whole system is up and running at full steam.
And they contrast this right now opportunity with what they see happening in the future. The idea is, as the ecosystem gets bigger and bigger and the coin gets more scarce, actually earning one full HVC just by doing work, well, that could get incredibly difficult.
So how does this early access thing actually work? Well, the process they've laid out goes like this. First, partners help support the Skileman launch by buying these things called SKM or GT units, which are other assets in the ecosystem. Then, in return, they get what's called a gifted allocation of HVC, and this basically gets them set up in the system before that whole value layer goes live.
And this quote from them really sums it all up, doesn't it? It frames right now as this unique window, this opportunity, and sets it against a future where earning HVC could be next to impossible. Which really brings us full circle back to the huge idea we started with. Forget about the specific numbers and timelines for a second. A project like this makes you ask a much, much bigger question. Can a digital asset really capture the incredible, complex value of what we as humans can do? Our skills, our productivity. That right there, that's the big idea at the very heart of the human value coin.